Welcome to the SharkPreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Green. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Green is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Do you want to become insanely successful? Do you want to be the go-to guru in your industry? Do you want to be talked about for all the right reasons? For over 40 years, Kevin Harrington has helped people just like you become significant influencers. Now he's broken the process down in the Key Person of Influence Roadmap, and it's yours for free. Just text KPI to him at 727-888-2100. Text KPI to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free step-by-step guide. Text KPI to 727-888-2100 to get the recognition you deserve and experience the success as the go-to voice everyone listens to in your industry today. Welcome to the SharkPreneur podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Green. Today I have the good fortune to be interviewing Susan Nefzger. Susan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So tell the folks watching and listening a little bit about who you are and what you do and what your company does.
Okay, so I've been in marketing and PR for 30 years. And as the industry has segued into online branding, everything's online. And one of the newer kids on the block is podcasting. And the reason, so I specialize in healthcare largely, but I work with nonprofits and all types of small businesses. And what I specialize in is online branding and reputation management. Because as we know, everything's now online. So you can do all the other things and that's fine too. But online is where you need to have a good foundation, because no matter what, even when people call you and meet with you, where do they go next? Online, to see what's there, to see if there's any deep, dark secrets. And sometimes people find them. So what I do is help people build a foundation or build upon a foundation they've already worked on for a number of years to make it emphasize what they really want people to know about them. So one of my favorite things is podcasting. And the reason why I like it is because there's so many specialized podcasts. It's very targeted to your audience, whoever your client is or whoever you are. You can find a podcast for just about anything. It's better, obviously, to get your clients on a podcast that's right for their business, obviously, and one that's popular. So, how does that, is that good for now?
Yes, that is good. Yes, that makes perfect sense. Okay. So why would I know you touched on it a little bit, but why would I as a business owner, what are the benefits to me of being a podcast interview guest?
So the benefits are, number one, it's relatively simple and straightforward. It's easy. You can do it from anywhere. So just like we're doing it right now, I'm in my office, you're in your office, and we're miles apart.
Yes.
The convenience is really one of the number one things that people like about it. Number two, as I've touched on, it can be specifically targeted to whatever audience you really want to attract or talk to or gain access to. And number three, the reach can be extremely wide. I mean, you can reach thousands and thousands of people with one podcast, which provides all the information about your business, and there you go. So if you have or include podcasting in your toolkit, in your marketing toolkit, it's very beneficial.
Awesome. Okay. So we talked about why I should want to be on podcasts.
Right.
How do I find the right the shows that have my audience?
So that requires a lot of research, because now, of course, there are a lot of really good podcasts. There are a lot of really popular podcasts. And when you do the research, which is what I do, to find the right one for your client or the story you want to tell, it is a little time consuming, but it's more or less an internet search, but also networking with people who've been on other really good podcasts. And, I'm on podcasts a lot, so I know which ones are good. So there are various categories. So that's how we search for the right podcasts. It's
sure. So just like older school PR, an older school PR firm might have relationships with the writers, the reporters,
exactly
certain news outlets. The new version is knowing the podcast show hosts and knowing how to approach them to get an interview.
Exactly.
All right. So what are some of the most common mistakes you see people making when doing podcast interviews? So, okay, I got booked. They said, yes, I can come on the show.
Right.
What are the ways I'm going to screw it up if I don't know better?
Well, number one, I think you must have talking points. So you have to be really specific and know exactly what you're going to say, unless you're well-versed and you do it all the time. So talking points about what you want to get across to your audience is, I would say, the most important thing, because sometimes if you don't have a script, then you can go off topic and things get a little lengthy. I mean, and that's happened to me. And it's not a bad thing, but sometimes people will get lost and then they don't want to listen anymore. So
that makes total sense. Okay, so I got to have talking points. I want to be prepared. What about, how do I give a great interview other than the talking points? What are some things I should do and what are some things I shouldn't do?
Some of the things that I recommend are to at least one time inject some kind of humor into the podcast, because you do this a lot with people. Things can become dry and boring, or and it's not bad to be straightforward, but I try really hard to smile a lot and to inject some type of humor at least one time, because podcasts can be 30 minutes, and that's not a lot of time to get your point across, and the host sometimes can be in a hurry, and maybe there's all kinds of reasons why to have a little humor and to try to tell a story. People like to hear a story. That's why they're listening. That's why they listen to books on tape. That's why Audible is so popular now. That's why podcasts are popular.
Okay. So you talked about injecting humor.
Mm-hmm.
What about self-promotion? Am I allowed to promote myself on the show? How does that work?
So there's a fine line, and that's kind of a nuanced communication. So if you're not used to doing podcasts, it's probably best to practice with someone and find out about your host and what they do. And most of the time, the topic is very specific, like what we're doing right now. We're talking about podcasts. So most of the time it's specific, and that really doesn't allow for a lot of wiggle room. But, for the most part, I just lost my place in my frame of thought. So
now would be a good time to inject some humor then.
Right. Because I heard some noise outside and I was like, what's that? So anyway, sorry about that. So that's what I would recommend.
Okay. And then now so you talked about the nuance and walking the fine line. We're talking about, let's say, some type of self-promotion.
Right.
Am I allowed to give them a website link? Am I allowed to tell them
Yes.
to follow me on social media?
Yes. And here's the thing. I always try to find out all that information before I go on the air with someone. And generally, most podcast hosts will give you the guidelines they want you to cover. And I always put a plug in for my website or my book, because I'm a book author too. So I always do that if that's what we're talking about. Or I have a copy of the book to show the audience. So, I mean, ostensibly that's why you're on the podcast, because you're known for what your expertise is, and that's what your rep got you on the podcast for. So it shouldn't be a problem, but sometimes people overdo it. And it does depend on the host, but generally they'll ask you that information towards the end of the podcast.
Like they'll give me an opportunity to say, how can people get in touch with you, etc.
Right.
Okay. What are some of the your favorite shows that you listen to?
Oh, great. I knew you would ask me that. So on I tend to listen to shows that are around storytelling and writing. So on Being, I think it started out with NPR, and of course now I can't remember the host's name, but I listened to that a lot. And I listened to Katerina Katsayas. She's a media expert, profile builder out in LA. And so those are a couple of the ones I listen to.
Awesome. And what do you like best about what you do?
Let's see. I like to help people. That's really the bottom line. But what I like about PR is in public relations and marketing and online is that there's so much room for new possibilities and new things to happen and new directions. So when you're working on one thing and I say, get my client on a podcast, so then maybe I'll be on the podcast, or maybe that will provide a new connection. So there's always ways of having new possibilities through marketing and PR. And for me, that provides a lot of excitement, and it's interesting. So things have to be interesting and always changing for me. So that's what I like about it.
Awesome. And when you are not getting your clients booked on awesome shows and helping them get their message out, what do you do for fun?
So I play golf. I read. I know that doesn't sound like fun, but for me, that's fun because I don't have a lot of time to do it. So when I can do it, I read and I write. So I write poetry. I'm writing a new book. I've already.
Let's give you an opportunity to plug. Tell us about the new book.
So my first two books are A Practical Guide to Awareness, and so they're not on the topic of PR and marketing. It's they're self-awareness based. And so my new book is A Practical Guide to Living Fearlessly, but I'm working on it.
Okay, so you said new book. Does that mean you've written books before?
Yeah, my other books are A Practical Guide to Awareness and a workbook that I wrote to go with it called Putting Awareness into Practice.
Awesome. Okay. So for our viewers and listeners who want to get booked on more podcasts or get more publicity, where is the best place for them to contact you or learn more about you?
So they can go on my creative website is Seeing Beyond the Ordinary, and they can read my poetry there and all of that. And then my professional PR website is snefzgerpr.com, or they can call me or they can email me. So
okay, we will put those links in our show notes.
Sure.
Awesome.
Or they can follow me on social media, obviously, which it's all my name. They'll find me.
Awesome. Well, we greatly appreciate your time. What else do you want to share that I didn't think to ask you?
Well, I think what I want to share with people is even when I suggest podcasting to clients now, and it's been around for how long now? 10 years?
At least.
Right? So it seems like it's a new topic to them, and amazingly. And so what I want to share with people is even if you don't have somebody, working for you, you can get yourself on podcasts. Go look online and see how you want to share your message and tell your story, and contact the person and give them a short, segment of who you are, what you do, and your website or your information. And, most likely if it's a good fit for the podcast subject, you can get on the podcast. It just takes a little, effort, but it's totally worth it.
Awesome. Well, we greatly appreciate your time. We know it's incredibly valuable. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks everybody for watching and listening. We'll talk to you next time.
Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level but need capital to get it done?
Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.